leave a font that you can do this naturally. But for those of us using Silhouette, that's not always what we want to do. Like I mean, not that I don't want to go type out the font, but the way that it cuts is really meant to be more of a print and cut. Okay, so that is totally okay. And I'm trying to find a picture that I can show you. Okay, here we go. Let's see, like this. Oh, I don't want to cut it. Or a knife tool. This is what I'm talking about. All right, so what we want to do is today I'm going to talk to you about setting up a file that we can mimic and layer this type of design. Okay, so not that we want to steal their design, but retro is definitely very in right now, and setting it up yourself really gives you the ability to, you know, control your colors and control your font and that sort of thing. So with that in mind, let me just make sure that we are live. Okay, I believe we are. Definitely let me know if you have stopped in to join us. I love seeing everybody's comments. And if you have questions along the way, let me know that too. Even if you are catching this on the replay, I love questions and I love to hear from you guys. So with that being said, let's talk about some fonts that are really fun to do this type of design with. All right, so the first thing is that you want a bold script font. Now, I'm not saying that you could do this with a non-script font, but script fonts I think are more fun. So one of my favorite ones, let's see, we will say, oh man, what do I want to say? I'll just say my name. We'll use my name. My name is the example here. I'm just going to fill it in with black so that it's easier to see for now. And Milkshake, I think, is a good font to start off with because it kind of has a little bit of that retro feel, but it's not quite as cool as this one. So, all right, what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and weld this together. Now, what I did was I right-clicked and chose Weld. Now, see how it broke my B and my E away from each other? That's okay, but I do want to regroup them so that they don't get away from me. Now, the first thing that you want to do, see this one has a blue offset, okay? So we are going to use our offset tool down here, choose offset, and it gives us a nice border around the whole thing. Now, it's default to the 0.125, and I think that's a pretty good border for what we have here. So I hit apply. Now I want to, now remember, if you've watched any of my videos before, I'm a real big fan of the shortcut that you can hold down your control button and choose your up arrow, and it moves your image or font up automatically so that I can take this one out. And the reason that I want to do that, because if you look at this, there's no little openings, right? So I'm going to take out all the little openings by doing release compound path. I'll hold down my shift key, and what I did was I clicked on my outline because that's the part I want to keep. So I delete the inside, and now I can bring that back down and see how it lines up exactly. Now, I don't necessarily want to do that right now, but that's what I can do. So if you've noticed, the navy blue around here also has a little offset. Now, Silhouette Studio actually has a feature. Let me see, can I remember where this is? I actually forgot about it till just now. They have a shadow feature. Well, now that it's come into my brain, I'm not going to be able to find it because I told you guys about it. But, oh, is that what this is? No, that's embossing. Okay, so we'll have to visit that another day, but Silhouette Studio has a shadow feature that can be pretty cool. But what we want to do is we want to go ahead and color this bad boy in. Now I'm going to choose the eyedropper and choose these similar colors just so that you can really compare apples to apples. So I want to make a duplicate of that. But I'm going to make my duplicate, for now, I'm going to make it gray, and I'm going to send it to the back. Now, I can layer these two together, and that's going to give me my, my layering effect right there. But if you notice, it's not really super smooth, all right, with the bee. So that will depend on, let me see, there, that's smoother. So the farther out you go away from it, the more pronounced that separation is going to be. So if you feel like you need more than just a little bit, you can actually do multiple layers. There we go. So that one looks pretty good, and it gives me a smoother line right here on my bee, right? So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to select all three of these, and I'm going to weld them together. Now we'll go back to the blue. But now when I move Becky down, my layering becomes a little bit more obvious. See how it's thicker along the bottom? Now I am going to change, let's see, we will do that pretty cream color. So now it's time to do another color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste, send that to back, and I'm going to select my next color. Okay, line those up. And then I can repeat this process all the way through the different colors. Now, what I do want to say is that when I go to layer this, I don't actually want to have to layer all of these colors on top of each other. With Smooth HTV, and I assume on this you'd use Smooth, you could use glitter if you want. But with Smooth HTV, it's easy to get caught up in layering, but you're really not supposed to layer more than about 3 layers deep. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm clicking on my blue. I will use Control and up. And then I'm going to select the orange and the blue, open my Modify panel, and hit Subtract. What that does is it subtracts my blue from the orange. It also gives you more control over all the little pieces. So like this one, I don't really need that. I can delete that out. I can leave those. Those are fine. I'll probably take that one out. I don't want to mess with that. Well, let's leave it. Let's leave it. I might change my mind. Okay, so I do want to group those together. So what I did is I used my drag box, selected everything, hold down my shift key and deselect my name. That way just my orange pieces are selected, and group those together. Now if I put that back in place and send back, you'll see that my orange and my navy fit perfectly together without actually overlapping. Okay, now you can do the same here with the name and the navy. I'm going to select the navy and my name and hit Subtract. And that gives me the opening that I need. Whoops. Group those together. And now my name will fit right there on the inside. Okay. So now I want to do the same thing in yellow. I am going to ungroup because I don't need these pieces for yellow, but I need these. And we will use the dropper and select our yellow. Slide that right in there. Now you will notice that this piece here is overlapping onto the Y. So what I want to do is I want to send to back. Now remember, that doesn't get rid of it, that just means that it's going to be underneath. So we're going to do the same thing with the orange. We'll create a new copy, and we'll select the orange and the yellow, hit subtract. Because the orange is on top of the yellow, it subtracts out the pieces. Now I can put my yellow back in place. Okay, so we'll do this one more time with the blue. I want the dropper. There we go. Same problem. Have that little extra piece down there. So we will send to back. Give ourselves a new yellow. Select these two and subtract. Leaves just our blue. Our yellow goes right back into place. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all three of these colors and group them together. And see, here's all my little pieces here, my little tails. That's all I wanted. So copy of the blue, bring the blue to front, select the group, and when I hit subtract, there we go. So there's one little piece here that we'll have to delete by hand. But now when we move the blue, now all of this is all built individually. Okay, so I'm going to delete this out. What that means is that none of this design is overlapping onto the other. And the reason you can tell that is if I were to turn it all transparent and give it an outline, none of my pieces are going into the other pieces. Now, I don't recommend trying to cut it that way because it'll be hard to separate which pieces you want to cut, but you can use this select by color tool up here, change to fill, and you can select orange, group it together, blue or green, navy's grouped together, that's grouped together, yellow's grouped together. So everything is already grouped together, and at any point I could separate these out to cut them individually. There we go. Now I just want to group them by color instead of having them grouped together as a whole. So I'd be able to cut my cream, cut my navy, cut my orange, cut the yellow, and cut the blue. Now, I'm not going to say that'd be the easiest to fit together, but I mean, really, as long as you keep in mind what it is you're working with and what your final design is supposed to look like, then they should line up pretty well when you get ready to piece these together. Now, remember, when you're cutting heat transfer vinyl, you do want to flip your design. So you can select the whole thing and flip horizontally, right? That way, when it's cutting into the heat transfer vinyl, it is cutting reverse. So when you go to iron it on, it's correct. And then once you do line it up, especially when you have this many layers, remember that you want to only do like little kiss presses. So what that means is like you only want to press for, say, 2 to 3 seconds, not the full 15 seconds. And the reason that you want to do that is because your HTV will shrink in, it'll get a little smaller, and then for each subsequent press, it'll be harder and harder to line up each time. Okay, so what that means is that I'll go to, line up Becky in the middle, and it won't actually fit. It'll be just a little bit off. And you don't really want that. We're all in this to do the best we can. So, that's something you want to keep in mind. 2 to 3 seconds. It also keeps you from overcooking your vinyl. You can actually heat your vinyl too much or for too long. So if I'm just doing quick easy layers, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. And then when I get to the very last layer and I've pulled off the carrier sheet, I'll put the whole thing in my heat press for the full 15 seconds to make sure that it all gets pressed correctly. So I'm going to jump over, see what questions you guys have. So far, so good. Let's see. So let's jump over to the Craft Along TV page. So I hope everybody's been doing good. I actually I had a real live video planned for you today, but the AC went out at my store, so I was just a hot, sweaty mess. So I didn't want you guys to have to suffer through that. So definitely glad we put that behind us. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions or any concerning comments. So hopefully you guys enjoyed doing this. Let's see, let's put it back together so you can see the final project. And I can repeat this project with any font. A couple other good ones that might be fun are kind of like your thick, whimsical fonts. So like, let's see, what else can we do? If I do Madison, and a font that would probably look good is Ochre. Okay, so if I needed a print, this would be a print font that I could use. Now this is probably a little girly, just depending on what it is you're trying to type out, but definitely feasible. All right, so I can offset. I'm just going to do it again real quick, as long as Facebook will let me. I do want to say that Facebook has not been my friend lately. I'm not sure why that is, because I certainly love Facebook, but evidently the feeling was not mutual. So if for some reason I cut off pretty soon, then you know it wasn't me, it was that darn Facebook playing games again. All right, so I got my 2 layers of navy, and weld all those together. Oh, darn it. Today's the first day that my shop has been open, so been definitely getting a lot of calls, people wanting some vinyl. We've been offering curbside pickup, so that's been a new experience for us. All right, so this one will be orange. And the next layer will be yellow. I love that little dropper tool. It's like one of the best things they've added to Silhouette Studio. And now you notice I keep having to send those to back, and that's okay. The reason that it's doing that is because it keeps wanting to, when I make a new copy of something, it automatically brings it to the front. Okay, so now I'm going to take my turn. I did this one just a little bit different, and that's okay. Basically, doing this type of design is a game of which one's in the front and which one's in the back, and also of creating your duplicates so that they stay where you need them to be. But I just feel like that helps a whole lot. Let's see. I want both of those layers subtract here from the yellow. All right, got a lot of messiness going on with the yellow. So I'm going to make sure I delete all that. All right, there we go. So then I want to group all these together. There we go. Oh, come on now. Just want the orange. Basically what I'm doing is I am grouping those together so that I can subtract them all from the bottom layers all at one time. But that's what's also giving me that messiness. So if you're watching in, I would definitely try to use that first method instead of trying to do it all at once. But, it's good to experiment and make sure that you have the best way possible, easiest way. So now when I get all these lined back up, and well, that was supposed to be blue. There we go. All right. So real quick and easy. Now I've got all my individual colors divided out so that I can cut and press them. So remember, the basics are going to be using your offset tool, right? Make your offset, subtracting layers out of the next layer, and then also learning that duplicate tool. So on your keyboard, you can hit Control and your up arrow, or if you're on a Mac, you can use Control or Command and your up arrow. Now you can use up, left, right, whatever you want to do, but whatever direction you hit is what direction it's going to go on your screen. So just keep that in mind. So for example, if I go Control right, down, right, up, left, left, it'll keep making duplicates as long as I'm hitting that arrow key. So that part's up to you which direction you go. Since we're doing the layers down, this one was just easier to go up. But a lot of times when I'm layering, I'll go off to the left or the right. So there's no, true method to doing that, but just know that that tool is there. And that way, when you need to put it back in place, you can just do Control down and it'll go right back where it belongs. And it keeps your design nice and layered and centered on itself. So, oh, Kimberly, so you were working with this font already? I know that I've seen the font around. I've never worked with it personally. Not because I don't want to buy it, I wouldn't mind buying it, but I just kind of felt like, I don't know, I don't want to be limited. I like that effect, but I don't necessarily, want to do that exact text or whatever. So you'll definitely have to let us know after you get it mastered, the ins and outs of working with that type of font. So, but retro is definitely in, you guys. So, Well, hi, Linda. I'm glad you could join me. Say hi to Bill if he's around. I look forward to doing our, guys, if you have not heard already, we do a Zoom coffee every Wednesday morning at 9. Now, I put the link up in our, the Silhouette Life Inspiration Box group. So if you want to join us, sometimes we talk about Silhouette or Cricut. Sometimes we talk about our kids. Sometimes we just talk about wine. Whatever it takes to get through. But Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Central Time. So if you want to join us, join the group, and the link will be posted there. And, just kind of help us all feel connected. So, all right, well, I guess I'm going to wrap it up. And if you guys are catching it on the replay and you think of any questions or any suggestions of things that you want to see next week, then definitely put it in the comments and I will come back and answer those questions the best that I can, or, put links or whatever the case may be. So I'm really glad that all of you joined me today, and hopefully you'll catch our other videos for Silhouette Life Inspiration Box. And don't forget to keep up with the page, because all the other designers and crafters that we've added really have a lot of great stuff too. So, all right, I'll let you guys go now. Thanks again. Have a good night. Bye-bye.